Good morning. Thank you for joining me today. This morning, we will be in Exodus, chapter 29, verse 1, through chapter 30, verse 10. Now, this is what you are to do for them, that is, Aaron and his sons and the Levites, to consecrate them so that they may minister as my priests. Take a young bull and 2 rams without blemish, and bread made without yeast, and perforated cakes without yeast, mixed with oil, and wafers without yeast, spread with oil. You are to make them using fine wheat flour. You are to put them in one basket and present them in the basket, along with the bull and the 2 rams. You are to present Aaron and his sons at the entrance of the tent of meeting. You are to wash them with water, and take the garments and clothe Aaron with the tunic, the robe of the ephod and the breastpiece. You are to fasten the ephod on him by using the skillfully woven waistband. You are to put the turban on his head and put the holy diadem on the turban. You are to take the anointing oil and pour it on his head and anoint him. You are to present his sons and clothe them with tunics, and wrap the sashes around Aaron and his sons and put headbands on them, and so the ministry of priesthood will belong to them by a perpetual ordinance. Thus you are to consecrate Aaron and his sons. You are to present the bull at the front of the tent of meeting, and Aaron and his sons are to put their hands on the head of the bull. You are to kill the bull before the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting, and take some of the blood of the bull and put it on the horns of the altar with your finger. All the rest of the blood you are to pour out at the base of the altar. You are to take all the fat that covers the entrails, and the lobe that is above the liver, and the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, and burn them on the altar. But the meat of the bull, its skin and its tongue, you are to burn up outside the camp. It is a purification offering. You shall also take 1 ram, and Aaron and his sons are to lay their hands on the ram's head. And you are to kill the ram and take its blood and splash it all around on the altar. And then you are to cut the ram into pieces and wash the entrails and its legs and put them on its pieces and on its head, and burn the whole ram on the altar. It is a burnt offering to the Lord, a soothing aroma. It is an offering made by fire to the Lord. You are to take the 2nd ram, and Aaron and his sons are to lay their hands on the ram's head. And you are to kill the ram and take some of its blood and put it on the tip of the right ear of Aaron, on the tip of the right ear of his sons, on the thumb of their right hand, and on the big toe of their right foot, and then splash the blood all around on the altar. You are to take some of the blood that is on the altar and some of the anointing oil, and sprinkle it on Aaron, on his garments, on his sons, and on his sons' garments with him, so that he may be holy, he and his garments, along with his sons and his sons' garments. You are to take from the ram the fat tail, the fat that covers the entrails, the lobe of the liver, the 2 kidneys, and the fat that is on them, and the right thigh, for it is the ram for consecration, and 1 round flat cake of bread, 1 perforated cake of oiled bread, and 1 wafer from the basket of bread made without yeast, that is before the Lord. You are to put all these in Aaron's hands, and in his sons' hands, and you are to wave them as a wave offering before the Lord. Then you are to take them from their hands and burn them on the altar for a burnt offering, for a soothing aroma before the Lord. It is an offering made by fire to the Lord. You are to take the breast of the ram of Aaron's consecration. You are to wave it as a wave offering before the Lord, and it is to be your share. You are to sanctify the breast of the wave offering and the thigh of the contribution, which were waved and lifted up as a contribution from the ram of consecration, from what belongs to Aaron and to his sons. It is to belong to Aaron and to his sons from the Israelites by a perpetual ordinance, for it is a contribution. It is to be a contribution from the Israelites from their peace offerings, their contribution to the Lord. The holy garments that belong to Aaron are to belong to his sons after him, so that they may be anointed in them and consecrated in them. The priest who succeeds him from his sons, when he first comes to the tent of meeting to minister in the holy place, is to wear them for 7 days. You are to take the ram of the consecration and cook its meat in a holy place. Aaron and his sons are to eat the meat of the ram and the bread that was in the basket at the entrance of the tent of meeting. They are to eat those things by which atonement was made, to consecrate and to set them apart, but no one else may eat them, for they are holy. If any of the meat from the consecration offerings or any of the bread is left over until morning, then you are to burn up what is left over. It must not be eaten, because it is holy. Thus you are to do for Aaron and his sons, according to all that I have commanded you. You are to consecrate them for 7 days. Every day you are to prepare a bull for purification offering for atonement. You are to purge the altar by making atonement for it, and you are to anoint it to set it apart as holy. For 7 days you are to make atonement for the altar and set it apart as holy. Then the altar will be most holy. Anything that touches the altar will be holy. Now this is what you are to prepare on the altar every day continually: 2 lambs, a year old. The first lamb you are to prepare in the morning, and the second lamb you are to prepare at around sundown. With the first lamb, offer a tenth of an ephah of fine flour, mixed with a fourth of a hin of oil from pressed olives, and a fourth of a hin of wine as a drink offering. The second lamb you are to offer around sundown. You are to prepare for it the same meal offering as for the morning, and the same drink offering for a soothing aroma, an offering made by fire to the Lord. This will be a regular burnt offering throughout your generations at the entrance of the tent of meeting before the Lord, where I will meet with you to speak to you there. There I will meet with the Israelites, and it will be set apart as holy by my glory. So I will set apart as holy the tent of meeting and the altar, and I will set apart as holy Aaron and his sons, that they may minister as priests to me. I will reside among the Israelites, and I will be their God, and they will know that I am the Lord their God, who brought them out from the land of Egypt, so that I may reside among them. I am the Lord their God. You are to make an altar for burning incense. You are to make it of acacia wood. Its length is to be 1.5 feet, and its width 1.5 feet. It will be square. Its height is to be 3 feet, with its horns of one piece with it. You are to overlay it with pure gold, its top, its 4 walls, and its horns, and make a surrounding border of gold for it. You are to make 2 gold rings for it under its border, on its 2 flanks. You are to make them on its 2 sides. The rings will be places for poles to carry it with. You are to make the poles of acacia wood, and overlay them with gold. You are to put it in front of the curtain that is before the ark of the testimony, before the atonement lid that is over the testimony, where I will meet you. Aaron is to burn sweet incense on it morning by morning. When he attends to the lamps, he is to burn incense. When Aaron sets up the lamps around sundown, he is to burn incense on it. It is to be a regular incense offering before the Lord throughout your generations. You must not offer strange incense on it, nor burnt offering, nor meal offering, and you must not pour out a drink offering on it. Aaron is to make atonement on its horns once in the year, with some of the blood of the sin offering for atonement. Once in the year, he is to make atonement on it throughout your generations. It is most holy to the Lord. So, you have a description of the consecration of the priests. Just the sons of Aaron. I mistakenly said that this included Levi, but at this point it was just Aaron and his sons. The sacrifices for the altar to make it holy, and the food for the priests, which they were to eat the consecration offering on the day that it was sacrificed. So I think that's important thing to keep in mind, that it isn't the whole animal that's being consumed by fire here. It's a portion of the animal, especially the fat, like the lobe of the liver kind of thing, and the meat is being eaten by the priests. So God's people are being supported by the offerings that are coming in. You also have a blueprint here of the altar of incense, and regulations concerning that, burning incense in the morning, morning by morning, when he attends to the lamps. carrying on, I suppose. Matthew chapter 26, verse 14 through verse 46. Then one of the 12, the one named Judas Iscariot, went to the chief priests and said, "What will you give me to betray him into your hands?" So they set out 30 silver coins for him. From that time on, Judas began looking for an opportunity to betray him. Now on the first day of the feast of unleavened bread, the disciples came to Jesus and said, "Where do you want us to prepare for you to eat the Passover?" He said, "Go into the city to a certain man and tell him, the teacher says, 'My time is near. I will observe the Passover with my disciples at your house.'" So the disciples did as Jesus had instructed them, and they prepared the Passover. When it was evening, he took his place at the table with the 12, and while they were eating, he said, "I tell you the truth, one of you will betray me." They became greatly distressed, and each one began to say to him, "Surely not I, Lord." He answered, "The one who has dipped his hand into the bowl with me will betray me. The Son of Man will go as it is written about him, but woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. It would be better for him if he had never been born." Then Judas, the one who would betray him, said, "Surely not I, Rabbi." Jesus replied, "You have said it yourself." While they were eating, Jesus took bread, and after giving thanks, he broke it, gave it to his disciples, and said, "Take, eat, this is my body." And after taking the cup and giving thanks, he gave it to them, saying, "Drink from it, all of you, for this is my blood, the blood of the covenant, that is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. I tell you, from now on, I will not drink of this fruit of the vine until that day when I drink it new with you in my Father's kingdom." After singing a hymn, they went out to the Mount of Olives. Then Jesus said to them, "This night you will all fall away because of me, for it is written, 'I will strike the shepherd, and the sheep of the flock will be scattered.' But after I am raised, I will go ahead of you into Galilee." Peter said to him, If they all fall away because of you, I will never fall away." Jesus said to him, "I tell you the truth, on this night, before the rooster crows, you will deny me 3 times." Peter said to him, "Even if I must die with you, I will never deny you." And all the disciples said the same thing. Then Jesus went with them to a place called Gethsemane, and he said to the disciples, "Sit here while I go over there and pray." He took with him Peter and the 2 sons of Zebedee, and became anguished and distressed. Then he said to them, "My soul is deeply grieved, even to the point of death. Remain here and stay awake with me." Going a little farther, he threw himself down with his face to the ground and prayed, "My Father, if possible, let this cup pass from me, yet not what I will, but what you will." Then he came to the disciples and found them sleeping. He said to Peter, "So couldn't you stay awake with me for 1 hour? Stay awake and pray that you will not fall into temptation. The spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak." He went away a second time and prayed, "My Father, if this cup cannot be taken away unless I drink it, your will must be done." He came again and found them sleeping. They could not keep their eyes open. So leaving them again, he went away and prayed for the 3rd time, saying the same thing once more. Then he came to his disciples and said to them, "Are you still sleeping and resting? Look, the hour is approaching, and the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Get up, let us go. Look, my betrayer is approaching." So, the in this, you have Jesus and his disciples eating this Passover feast, which we had described just previously in the book of Exodus, when the Jews would, eat a cake without yeast in it, and they would do it with their clothes on and their bags packed, so that they would eat it in haste, kind of thing. And and I guess the whole Passover institution, Jesus here is now giving a new a new meaning, which it had from the beginning, but he is letting them know that this bread that they're eating as part of Passover is his body, and this wine that they're drinking is the blood of the covenant that is poured out for many for the forgiveness of sins. So you have this Passover event, which was, a event that was meant to stand out in Jewish history, being put on the first month and used as the formation of the Jewish nation, where God took them out of Israel with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm. This event where they would sacrifice a lamb and redeem their lives from it, Jesus is taking now and applying it to himself. So, yeah. And it's things like that that lead me to the conclusion that the Bible is one message. Carrying on, Psalm chapter 31, verses 19 through 24. How great is your favor, which you store up for your loyal followers. In plain sight of everyone, you bestow it on those who take shelter in you. You hide them with you, where they are safe from the attacks of men. You conceal them in a shelter, where they are safe from slanderous attacks. The Lord deserves praise, for he demonstrated his amazing faithfulness to me when I was besieged by my enemies. I jumped to conclusions and said, I am cut off from your presence. But you heard my plea for mercy when I cried out to you for help. Love the Lord, all you faithful followers of his. The Lord protects those who have integrity, but he pays back in full the one who acts arrogantly. Be strong and confident, all you who wait on the Lord. That's a cool psalm, because the psalmist was besieged by my enemies in the middle of some horrible event, and he said himself, he jumped to conclusions and said, I'm cut off from your presence. That is, you don't see me anymore. You're not paying attention to me, God. But he heard the psalmist's plea for mercy when he cried out to him for help. And he admonishes the Lord's faithful followers to be strong and confident, all who wait on the Lord. And finally, Proverbs chapter 8, verses 14 through 26. Counsel and sound wisdom belong to me. That is, wisdom. I possess understanding and might. Kings reign by means of me, and potentates decree righteousness. By me, princes rule, as well as nobles and all righteous judges. I love those who love me, and those who seek me find me. Riches and honor are with me, long-lasting wealth and righteousness. My fruit is better than the purest gold, and what I produce is better than the choice silver. I walk in the path of righteousness, in the pathway of justice, that I may cause those who love me to inherit wealth, and that I may fill their treasuries. The Lord created me as the beginning of his works, before his deeds of long ago. From eternity I was appointed, from the beginning, from before the world existed. When there were no deep oceans I was born, when there were no springs overflowing with water. Before the mountains were set in place, before the hills I was born, before he made the earth and its fields, or the beginning of the dust of the world. That's interesting to me. The Lord created me as the beginning of his works. And then from eternity I was appointed. Which the first verse makes it sound as though they're is some set point in time where the creation is happening. But the second sounds as though from eternity that there is no set point, and that it's simply going back in perpetuity. Which makes me think of the eternally begotten concept and how C.S. Lewis explains it, which is far too complex for me to relay here in the early morning, but I'll attempt it, I suppose. What he employed was this analogy of, if you think of like oh no, I'm not going to get it right, but yeah, it's a neat one if you have a chance to read it. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me today. Hope you have a great day. Bye.